Welcome to Indie Music Podcast, episode 328, the social of Indie Music Podcast. This morning, my son Zach and I get together and talk about what he does for the show. Zach runs our website, Facebook, and Instagram content management. Enjoy the show. Hey, there you are.
All right, there we go. Yeah, sorry. I had the wrong mic set up.
Hey, you're not Matt.
I mean, I can be.
No, nobody can be Matt. I mean, if we were Matt, we would be off like traveling and river rafting, with the family and stuff like that right now. But no.
Yeah, we'd be waiting to post the link for the podcast till about 10 minutes before it's supposed to go out.
Yeah, we can't give him too hard of a time. And most of the time, that's my fault because I didn't get him the files he needs in time.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I make do with what I'm able to have.
So anyway, this is my son, Zach. Zach, this is everybody, or all three of them.
What's up, everybody?
So Zach does our social media for Instagram and Facebook. And I can't exactly remember how I roped him into that, but I don't know if I like had like something on you or
it was a combo of guilt and like almost like a little bit of disappointment if I didn't do it. Because he didn't quite fully explain the job in detail when you gave it to me.
No, if I recall, it was like, yeah, just have fun with it. So
yeah, pretty much. And I kind of just had to figure it out along the way.
Yeah. Well, you do a lot better job than what I would. If I would even get it done. I'd probably miss every single update. So, but yeah, I thought maybe you might talk a little bit about. I know there's not a ton there, but about a little bit about what you do and what your process is, and how you manage that social media on that side. I know that we feed you information about upcoming episodes and things like that, and then you kind of take it and run with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. So as you said, I'm Zach Reynolds. I'm his son. So really what I do for the podcast is I'm in charge of getting out all the social media outside of Twitter. So really the Instagram, the Facebook content, as well as the WordPress. Really how the whole thing works is that, so of course we use Slack, and we kind of have every week we have an episode page, and we update the information and make sure that we have everything together. And then typically a couple of us will go on and take a rough draft of what we're probably going to be talking about for the episode, and get out both promos and then get out an official episode release post as well. And then with that, we have the WordPress where I'll write that every week, giving a rough idea of what we do for what the episode's going to be about. And then also we use the WordPress to add the link to, and then that when it goes out, we'll have the episode sent to Spotify and get it up. And then
yeah, it's kind of cool. So we use WordPress, and the reason we use that is because it creates what's called an RSS feed, and it's that feed of our blog posts, which are published of our podcast, and have the podcast audio file that you add the link to, and then we go out to like Spotify and Apple Podcast and Google Podcast, and there's several others, and those all aggregate our feed. They can consume it, and whenever that feed gets updated with a new post that Zachary puts on, usually within anywhere between 5 minutes and 30 minutes, it'll aggregate our latest episode to those different platforms where everybody listens to our podcast. So that's really important. That really the website and that feed is the core of managing and and getting the podcast out everywhere. And so really Zach's responsible for making sure that that happens every week, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, I'm basically having to take care of everything behind the scenes.
Yeah, he's running. And actually he keeps Matt and I pushing forward. He's like, hey guys, where's the stuff? So
I wouldn't say it like that. It's just more so like I'll just kind of check in, It's like
where's
eerie.
the insert expletive here, So.
maybe.
So well, let's see. So like what's it like, on like the Instagram and social, and Facebook and is there, like comments and things like that? What's it like dealing, with especially the bots?
Yeah.
Any suggestions or tips for people who are trying to manage their social and dealing with that kind of noise?
So yeah, that one's kind of weird because I've never found that issue on Facebook, and obviously I don't run the Twitter, but I don't believe that there's been many issues with that. But it's really on Instagram, and I feel like it's more so a fault of Instagram itself, just the way that it's kind of devolved into as a platform. But really, I think the uh, the number of issues come from bots that are like closely associated with specific tags. Of course, like for us, I'm always gonna put like hashtag indie, hashtag music, hashtag podcast, and I think that there's a strong association between the hashtag podcast with other bots that are just automatically feeding through, and then just commenting like share or DM at blank or share with blank for for promotion.
Yeah.
And then you'll look at those pages and it's like they'll have like 20,000 followers, but they got like 19,000 following or whatever. It's like that.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings on that. In one respect, you can leave those bot posts on there because that actually, as far as the algorithm is concerned, that's activity, but it's also noise. I have a tendency to just want to leave them there though, just because it does help in the algorithm. Unless it's something that I intend to be like a promo, like an advertisement, yeah, I'll delete them off of that. But and then we get lots of I think we get lots of DMs as well. And basically we really don't work the podcast that way, through DMs and stuff. And the people that we interview, or the artists that we interview, and those that we interact with, are those that we actually have developed relationships with over some time. So we've never had anybody on the show that is like just cold, and we haven't really met them before, or they're semi-cold, but we had an opportunity to talk to them about what they're doing, and it was cool, and we liked it, and it was of interest, and related, to the show. We get a lot of things are kind of not in scope and things like that, but we do see a lot of artists who cold message us with video links and things like that, and we're just really not equipped to handle that volume and respond to all the messages and things like that. And then definitely not able to listen to everything that everybody sends us. So really the best way to get on the show or to enter, to be involved with Indie Music Podcasts is actually to be involved with Indie Music Podcasts and comment and interact with the content that we're putting out there that Zach is creating and stuff like that. Because that's how we get to know people, and then I think we feel more comfortable in considering bringing bringing people onto the show and things like that.
Mm.
Yeah, but how about over on so Facebook is well, I know Facebook's kind of a tough place because it's hard
Mhm.
to really get a lot of traction over there.
Yeah.
And we're not heavily into advertising and things like that, and I think it's really geared to grow your page there
Honestly,
through
and
promotion.
if I can share my opinion on it,
Yeah,
I as a 20-year-old and as someone who listens to a lot of podcasts, not all of them necessarily being in the music sphere, a lot of them being more so the sports sphere too, or like comedy sphere. If a lot of times when I see advertised content in some way or shape or form, like on Instagram, be it TikTok, or even Facebook, so it kind of sometimes gives me the wrong impression. Sometimes I actually don't want to watch it. And maybe it actually repulses me a little bit more than if it were to like naturally come along my feed through how an algorithm would work with recommending it instead of it being forced down my pipeline.
yeah. Do you follow hashtags?
Not necessarily. Um, I'll like generally with how my let's just say my Instagram is it's very cut and dry with like the particular things that since I've been using it for so long now the way the algorithm has for me, it's like really just like three things. And so if I'm typically looking for something along those lines, I don't even have to use a hashtag for it.
Yeah, because it seems like hashtags are probably the most effective on Twitter and
Mhm.
on Instagram. I don't know how effective they really are in Facebook. I don't see the response to hashtags like I do on Instagram and Twitter, and so I think they're really important there. And by virtue of like, I mean, Instagram's cool because you can cross post to Facebook automatically and stuff like that, and then go in and
Mhm.
do whatever you're editing in Facebook you need. Um, and the hashtags follow along with that. And I just don't ever see the the interest from an interaction of people who don't follow us but caught onto a post,
Yeah.
and I don't see that on Facebook.
I-
And go ahead.
oh, no, continue on because like I think you're reaching part of the topic that I wanted to talk about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so I think that the hashtags and choosing wisely on hashtags is important. Um, like on Instagram and
Mhm.
Twitter and probably like TikTok and stuff too. Although we don't go over to TikTok, but we're on YouTube, and I think hashtags are important on YouTube as well. Although I haven't been, I take care of the YouTube stuff and I actually haven't been using hashtags. We probably should. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, but anyway, what did you want to segue into from that?
Yeah, so what I wanted to talk about was like how I've seen uh the Facebook do versus Instagram. And so I think it's a double-sided, it's double-edged, wherein I like how the platform for making posts for Facebook works a lot more than Instagram because Instagram relies on a mobile-based model. Meanwhile, like there's a lot more detail you can put into a Facebook post, such as with hyperlinks, a little bit more spread out posts, better image quality in my opinion, like just a bigger picture. Meanwhile, with Instagram, it's very hard to do embedded links. A lot of the time, like for a lot of the episodes, I'll just say um like check our bio, which has the link to the link tree or the link to the Spotify and everything. But meanwhile for Facebook, I can do, check us out at blank at the link tree. Or if we're doing an interview, it's much better on there because if an artist or whoever we're interviewing has their own page, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, it's very difficult to try to promote all that on Instagram when all you can really do is do an at and then you can write their website and you can do all those links, but they're not going to be hyperlinked. So it's going to be very awkward. And people don't
Yeah.
want to take the time out of their day to actually do that. Meanwhile, on the Facebook, or on Facebook, you can do all that. But the issue that I find is that I feel like Facebook is a very outdated platform for a lot of people that are, especially with the way our society works, and especially with music, where it's a very fast-paced, style, and you just want to get to things as fast as possible. And I feel like Facebook is kind of that like older generation, like grandma knitting a sweatshirt vibe to it. But so there's positives and negatives to both. I like I like Facebook a little bit more for what options there are, but the responses to Facebook versus Instagram is not even close. Like we see 3 or 4 times more not just responses but views and likes and all the others on our Instagram versus our Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's other things like stories where you can share links and things like that. And then, and when we do have the ability to like copy a post link and then repost with an app called, a reposting app. But that doesn't actually do any links for you. So you still have to tag the artist. And that's the best thing I've come up with is, in the original post is to provide an artist tag, because at least the artist tag is clickable. They can go to the artist profile and then find information from there, or link in their bio type of stuff. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The inability to have active links in Instagram posts is a real hindrance. I don't know if it could probably, it's a good thing or a bad thing. It just depends on how people use them. But um, and then and I do like on Facebook how when you do post a link that it unfurls into a preview of the web page that it's linking to, and and that's always really nice. So yeah, but I agree. I think the hindrance of that makes you have to work creatively around how you help promote the artists that are on the show or that we're talking about, or specific things that we talked about in the show. It's definitely more difficult on on Instagram. And then Steve, who we've had on the show before, he handles our Twitter. And and he struggles with being limited to whatever the character limit on Twitter, and having to take the synopsis of our shows, and distill them down into some type of post that makes sense and fits, in the Twitter context. So there's a whole another set of challenges over there with that, with just how much content you can post in a single post. So it's kind of nicer that way on Instagram, because you can have real long posts, and you're not limited in the amount of text. Whether or not people read all that, I'm not sure. In the longer posts, maybe not. But so it's probably best to get the most important stuff within the first sentence. But
Twitter is so interesting because like it's changed a lot in the last couple of years. I feel like to where a lot of it has just comedic value. I mean, like the whole Elon Musk situation is just. Are we allowed to use profanity?
we generally don't.
Okay, it's a very weird situation, but like I feel like yeah, the best Twitter posts are those that are just like short, quick, snappy, kind of just get to the point. But it's very difficult, especially when you're trying to promote using podcasts, because like you're already 12 words in and you're just like talking about like what we are, and now you got to explain like what this episode is.
Right. And I think at some point, I don't know. I think Steve does a good job of it. And,
Mhm.
because I'm always trying to maximize what as much as we can get in there, and again,
Yeah.
mention the show, mention the Patreon, and mention what the topic of the show is about,
Yeah.
including then trying to fit the link in there too, because that counts into your character count. And and then dealing with the promo video and then the post image, that we try to put out every week, and coordinate those things, and I think we've talked a little bit about it, but the way that we coordinate all that is we use Slack, and so the whole podcast team collaborates in a Slack channel that gets created for every episode, and so all the post assets and the copy, generally what I'll do, like right after the show that Zach and I are recording right now, since I don't really most of the time know what we're going to talk about in advance, I'll record the introduction after the show. I like to do it like this at that time, because I'm set up, the microphone and everything's the same, the camera's the same, I'm wearing the same stuff, and so it stays in context. And then I'll record the intro, and then but I write it, I script it just a little bit. I have like a boilerplate, and then I update the show topic and stuff like that. And then, and then I do that read and record it, and then I'll copy and paste that over into the Slack channel. So that's what the show is about. And then Zach will take, that copy and then revise it however he wants to do the show posts on social.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of our process that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
yeah. And then we just kind of add our own, both me and Steve just kind of add our own originality to it. It's just like a rough draft, as I had mentioned earlier.
Do you and Steve like work together on stuff much, or do you just
honestly, when I'm not seeing a picture of like a margarita or something from Steve, or like whiskey on the rocks, like I don't really talk to Steve all that much. We're kind of in sync in a way.
Yeah. Right on. So, okay. So anyway, hopefully you found that interesting. We thought we'd share about sort of our social media process and kind of some of the inner workings and the in the background of the podcast. And and I just got a notification. Yeah, we also have an automated thing that goes out. Where we do post replays. And so our past episodes, I don't know if that actually, I don't think we have anything hooked up for Instagram on that. I don't know if there's.
No, I think it's solely Twitter, to my knowledge.
Yeah, because that actually runs off our website and reposts to there. I'll have to look and see if there's a plugin for Instagram for that.
We've had some pretty funny situations though with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you liked it. And thanks, Zach, for hopping on and talking about what you do.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time. I'm going to go like slither back into my like tech cave now.
All right.
Just stay out of the spotlight.
All right, everybody. Peace.
Bye-bye.